Hello everyone and welcome to Be Better Gamer Wrestling. I am Be Better Gamer and today I have another CAW video for you, and I'm going back to Japan, but I'm making an American wrestler. I'm making a gaijin, and that gaijin is Stan the Lariat Hansen. Why am I making Stan Hansen? Well, he's a legend for one. WrestleMania 32 is coming up. They're going to be in Texas. I wouldn't be surprised if Stan Hansen gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. Even though he didn't really wrestle too much for the WWF, his time with the company was very early on. Talking 70s, 80s, okay? They're going way back. But it was very memorable. Stan the Lariat Hansen. Why was he called the Lariat? Well, because he did this destructive clothesline, this left clothesline where he was just basically throwing his arm out there. This is a guy who's over 300 pounds. He's 6'4", former football player, and it's a devastating lariat that he got known for, because he was partially blind. What it was. So he just was like, I'm just gonna throw my arm out there and it's gonna hit, and I'm just gonna have to throw it as hard as I can so I can make sure I hit the guy. Sounds safe, right? But early on in WWF, he was there. He wrestled against Bruno Sammartino. He broke his neck, so he became kind of like a cult legend. This badass Texas born and bred, will fight anyone, beer drinking, tobacco chewing, cowbell swinging. I mean, in a way, he was like an early Stone Cold Steve Austin. He really was. He just did not give a crap about anyone. He just wanted to fight you, and he was great. Again, he only wrestled in the beginning at the WWE. He's on the WWE Network. He's got a match there with Bob Backlund. They're like, third match from a brief feud they have over the World Championship. He's got some NWA stuff, him facing Lex Luger for the U.S. Heavyweight title. And he's got a match there with Vader. It goes to a no DQ, but it gives you a taste of the magic they had in Japan. Another reason why I created him is because he's in this game. His face is in the game. His moveset and everything is taken completely from Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, which was the game that came out only in Japan before this. And Stan Hansen is a legend in Japan. Spent most of his time wrestling for All Japan Pro Wrestling. So I decided to make him because of that. Because of all those things, really. So here we go. Stan Hansen. His name, short name. You want to give him alias the Lariat. I mean, that was his nickname. Edit 1, 6'4", 321 pounds. Original 3. And like all my CAW videos, I'm only going to go over the profile and the appearance, the moves, fighting style, parameter, ally, enemy. I'm going to have in a Google Docs that you can check out in my description below. I got it all typed out nice for you, making it easy. But here we go. We're going to go after the body. He's fat one. He was a big dude, but he was fast, and he can go. And if you watch any Stan Hansen match, this dude is never just like lying down on the mat. Okay, he is always moving. His pace never lessens. I mean, he is in there with the best of the best. In his Japanese matches, he's going 30 minutes with guys and just non-stop. So they might call him Fat One in this game, but don't let his size underestimate you. Stan Hansen could go. It almost seemed like he never stopped. Head, male 3. Face, like I said, he's already in the game. And like my Hakushi CAW video, he's another guy that was carried over from Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. They kept his face for whatever reason. Male 71, that's Stan Hansen. Hair, short 1. You want to give him short 1. That's this hair. Okay, he had kind of like a moppish head sometimes when he grew his hair out, but pretty much he kept his hair short. Front hair 59. I feel like that was the best one. Closest resembled what he had in Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. For the color, you want to give him 5. It's kind of that it's not the dark, it's not black, and it's also not light brown. It's just regular brown. Facial hair. Now they didn't really have a good stash. Stan Hansen had a really thick mustache in real life, and they have a really good one in Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. But the WWF No Mercy mustaches are very limited. So I gave him 28. I feel like that was the best one to give him. No mask, no hat, ring attire. He is old school simple. Just give him short tights, ring attire. Upper body doesn't need anything. His elbow pad, you're going to give him that big supported elbow pad on his left. That's where he hits you with the Lariat. Knee pad, you give him the big supporter 1 knee pads. I make them black instead of default because I just don't like the black color on the default. It looks weird to me. But you can leave it default if you want. And feet, I gave him pull-on 16s because that's what he had in Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. He wore these Texas Longhorn kind of boots when he wrestled in All Japan around the late 90s, early 2000s. So I gave him that. And it's also something you gotta buy from the SmackDown Mall, and just the default color. Now he would come to the ring in like cowboy stirrups, swinging a bull rope and wearing a cowboy hat. They unfortunately don't have all that stuff in this game. So if you want, you can just give them the Austin entrance attire, which is like a, kind of like a cowboy vest, right? And give them the default, and then just make it black so it writes out the Austin lettering. See, look, there's Austin. Boom, it's gone. There you go, the cowboy Stan Hansen. I gave him a little bit of alternate attires, nothing too crazy. He's got a little wristband there, white wristband, and blue knee pads instead of black. This is similar to the outfit he wore when he fought Bob Backlund, and that you can find on the WWE Network in that steel cage match. And then this outfit is similar to what he wore when he was fighting in WCW/NWA. His supporter, you give him the dark blue supporter, and then you give him the different knee pads, the ones that have like the white backing, which are knee pad 3. So there you go. If you want to just give him, he's not breaking the mold, nothing too crazy in terms of alternate outfits. So that's Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen is definitely a wrestler I had no awareness of growing up, again, because he didn't really wrestle much in WWF, and when he did, it was before my time, and he was only in the NWA/WCW very briefly. This was before Monday Nitro, so I didn't really get exposed to Stan Hansen until I started watching Japanese wrestling, and I was watching All Japan Pro Wrestling, and I was watching Kenta Kobashi, Mitsuhiro Misawa, but Vader and Stan Hansen were there. And then that's when I went back and I watched his stuff with him teaming with Bruiser Brody, and it's just all these classic matches he had with like Shohei Baba and Toshiaki Kawada and things like that. So we're gonna do Stan Hansen. We're gonna do Stan Hansen against Bradshaw because I think no one emulated the Stan Hansen style more than Bradshaw tried to do, especially when Bradshaw first came into the WWF. If you remember, he was Justin Hawk Bradshaw. Same gimmick. He would come in with the stirrups, with the vest, with the cowbell. They would brand people, him and who we now know as Zeb Coulter, that was his manager, and they would brand people, and his finisher was the big, clothesline from hell. So he would just hit you with his right, whereas Stan Hansen would hit you with his left. I think he really was an ode to Stan Hansen. A lot of guys were influenced by Stan Hansen's, brash, ready to rumble style. Austin especially. Austin took a lot of cues from guys like Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody. And that's why I wanted to create him in WWF No Mercy, not only because his face was in the game and he's an easy transfer from Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, but it wasn't until I started getting exposed to his work at an older age where I realized not only how influential he was, but also just how good he was. There I go, give him the big Stan Hansen clothesline early on, trying to get him out of the ring. Let's go out of the ring. Stan Hansen loved going out of the ring. Where are you going, Bradshaw? We're going out of the ring. Come on, we're gonna fight. This is gonna be a brawl because it's Stan Hansen. But he was definitely someone that I can appreciate as I got older, because I appreciated wrestling on a different level. I probably my favorite style of wrestling are like the smaller light guys who jump all around all over the place. Like I love that. I'll watch that all the time. But I appreciate the guys like Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody and Terry Funk, who were just, no nonsense, just throwing a bunch of wild punches and suplexes and just fighting all over the place, because it was still very compelling. You watch a guy like Stan Hansen throwing his weight around and moving all over the place, and it really does make a compelling match, because you really want to root for the babyface to overcome it. Like, how are they gonna beat Stan Hansen? The match he has with Bob Backlund is very entertaining. And it shows how much of a fighting champion Bob Backlund was, that he can go in there in a steel cage against a guy like Stan Hansen and hold his own. The Stan Hansen Lex Luger matches were really cool too, because it really showed how tough Lex Luger could be too. And he loses that first match. Spoiler, he loses that first match with Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen actually becomes the US heavyweight champion, and Lex Luger has to beat him in his own game in the Texas bull rope match, which is basically like a four corners match. And it was great. And Stan Hansen was so good at playing the heel. And here's Bradshaw, almost done. I'm going to give him the big running lariat. Let's see if it knocks him out. Boom, knocks him out. There you go. Because that's Stan Hansen, the innovator of the lariat, if you will. The real clothesline from hell. You want to see some clotheslines from hell? Go watch some Stan Hansen clips on YouTube. Or if you have New Japan World, they have the infamous match on New Japan World where Stan Hansen fights Vader. And Stan Hansen basically pulls Vader's eye out of his socket. He punches him so hard, and he hits him so hard that he pops Vader's eye out of his socket, and then Vader pops it back in, and they continue wrestling the rest of the match. They go like another 15 minutes. It's nuts. Stan Hansen was no nonsense. He was tough, and if you want to just unleash some of that into the WWF, because he never got a chance to. Imagine this guy during the Attitude Era. Oh man, it would have been incredible to see. But I hope you like this one. Stan Hansen, another personal favorite of mine, transferring him over from Virtual Pro Wrestling to pretty much. I hope you enjoy it. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe so you know when my next videos come out. And yeah, thank you for watching. Go watch some Stan Hansen. Go learn some history of wrestling, and I hope you enjoy, and thank you for watching. Till next time.